Hey, good morning, people. Morning, morning, morning. How we all doing? Happy Monday to everyone. Hope you're all doing well. It is April 15th, and got some news to cover here. Now, let me preface, I don't want to pretend I'm any kind of political expert here on geopolitics like all of Twitter, so I'm just looking at some of the news and I'll be just regurgitating pretty much some of the news that happened over the weekend. We'll be talking about iPhones as well. We'll talk about Apple. We'll talk about tax, as it is tax day in the States. And we'll talk about these markets pumping on the overnight. So, markets' reaction to Iran's unprecedented strike on Israel has been contained so far, as the region's path to an all-out war seems to be contained, quote unquote, so far. So more than 170 drones as well as 150 cruise and ballistic missiles were launched on Saturday by the Islamic Republic, though 99% of the aerial threats were shot down by Israel and its allied coalition partners. We will exact the price from Iran in a fashion and timing that is right for us, Jerusalem declared following the attacks, while Tehran said there that such an event would be met with decisive and stronger response. So, since the Gaza war erupted October 7, 2023, Israel has been fighting Iran and Iranian proxies on multiple fronts, including Yemen's Houthis, who have disrupted shipping in the Red Sea, as well as Iranian-backed forces in Lebanon, Iraq, and Syria. Iran attributed its strike on Israel as retaliation for an alleged strike Israel airstrike on April 1st that killed several senior IRGC commanders in Syria, which leveled the consular building adjacent to Iran's embassy in Damascus. So over the weekend, Iran also seized an Israel linked cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz, which is key route to oil trade. Israelis spent Saturday night in a safe room and bomb shelters, while the Home Front Command instituted a limitations on public gatherings and other restrictions through Sunday. And those have so far been lifted, suggesting that an immediate retaliation in the form of a direct strike on Iran won't be the clearest path of deterrence. President Biden also vowed to continue to help Israel defend itself, but the U.S. won't take part in counter-offensive in the bid to prevent an all-out regional war in the Middle East. A coalition will likely be established instead to isolate Iran diplomatically, with the aim of putting the war back in the shadows. So, some thought that moves would shake up equities, oil, gold, or shipping stocks, but it appears that investors are taking the off-ramp. In fact, that those asset classes and sectors made an unexpected U-turn as the active situation was digested. Instead of risk-on rally or sell-off, that might have been anticipated. More pressing to Israel is also the threat of Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon, which has prevented around 100,000 of its citizens from returning home, as well as winning the war against Hamas in Gaza. So we've seen the market rally off of that on the overnight session, as it was kind of expected based on the volume and the positioning from money into the weekend. So we were looking for some of those longs that transpired on the overnight session. As soon as the market opened, we were in Discord, honestly just looking for longs, as the bid just opened right up. And now we're trading a decent bit higher in a distribution higher, as we'll cover towards the end of this video on the S&P 500. Now, let's talk a bit about Apple and what is going on with Apple, because Apple last week popped some news and we rallied pretty decently, but Android popularity is growing, with Samsung reclaiming the crown as the top smartphone maker from Apple amid a slump in iPhone shipments. That's according to the International Data Corporation, which also showed that Chinese brands are gaining ground, with Xiaomi taking the third global spot. Recall that iPhone sales in China already took a hit as Huawei regained its foothold in the market, briefly putting Apple in correction territory. Apple shares have fallen 8.3% year to date, which is shrinking its market cap from $3 trillion to nearly 2.7-ish, $2.75 trillion. So with that, Apple has rallied last week off the bottom of these distributions, and we're still not out of the woods, I would say, as the market's kind of in a territory of structural shifts as it stands right now. We also have tax day, right? It's officially here, which have big consequences for individual investors who sold assets held in taxable accounts. As we look at this, generally, one of the patternings for tax day in the States is that we see a decent, strong bottom in the equity markets that shifts to the upside, which can start a broader rally after, or pretty much, yeah, after this tax day is over, leading into the end of the week. So it's kind of something that I'll be looking for this week as we look for some of that upside momentum in the equity markets. When we talk about Tesla here, Tesla's in the news as well, right? Layoffs. Tesla's slashing the monthly subscription price for full self-driving package to $99 a month from the prior monthly rate of $199, in what appears to be a shift in strategy from the EV giant. The automaker recently required all customers to take the FSD demo drive and offered existing Tesla owners a free month of the drive assistance system. Tesla also deployed AI-powered FSD V12, but the upgrade is still far from fully automated, with the package now being called FSD Supervised. And the company has been under pressure recently and confirming that it would lay off 10% of its global workforce. Tesla's down slightly here pre-market as it's been troubled throughout the year after a pretty strong rally last year. So as we're looking at today's markets, pre-market, we had retail sales, Empire State Manufacturing Survey, and then we have business inventories today, housing market index, and we have Fed's daily speech, and we also have Jerome Powell coming on the wire this week. So that's going to be pretty interesting as markets are rallying here pre-market. We're up on the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow. Crude is down just a bit, so is gold. Bitcoin's up a bit, and then in Europe, London down a bit, Paris up about nearly 1%, Frankfurt up nearly 8%. So quicker update here. Let's take a look at what the equity markets have in store for us right now with the S&P 500 futures. You can see that we bounced off that 5150 area on Friday's end of session with a lot of volume building up down here. The top of that distribution was at that 5185 area. Now we're through it. We're actually in the higher distribution above that 51 low 90 area, trading close to some resistance into this 5216 as it stands. What I'm looking at right now is I want to see if these buyers really have what it takes to continue this momentum move. As long as we're above that 5193 area on the S&P, we have a midpoint block between 5193 all the way down to that 5185 area, which should hold as some kind of support to continue this upward momentum as we've rallied on the overnight session, accepting into a distribution higher. So I'm still looking to buy some of these dips if we can get above that 52. If we can get above 52, like 27, 25, I think that upside gets really strong and it gets confirmed, and we can start springing higher and potentially talking about all-time highs into the end of this week. So that's how I'm looking at this. If we start closing back below that 5185, that bull side is kind of done until we start looking at prices down to 5130 on the S&P. But I'm starting the week leaning a little more bullish to see where these buyers want to take prices and how we can continue that momentum move to the upside. So I want to open up this trading room for our traders this morning. Last week we had turbulence, swings, volatility, which were a bit tougher, and this week I'm expecting that much as well. Decreasing position size and understanding that the risk is going to be there, so I might widen stops and drop sizing this week to see where we start the week and looking for some of that bullish momentum. So with that being said, let's open up our live trading room here for our traders. I'll see you guys there. Remember, check out community.TRADEPRO Academy where we have a CR chart template for you guys. We got that free Discord up, and let's see what we get this week. Let's start it off slow, understand the risks in this market, and I'll see you guys on the other side. So thank you all for watching. Let's start the day. Let's start the week. Happy trading. Manage risk. We'll chat soon.